Pakistan tells the United Nations it reserves the right to respond. India says Pakistan army shelling kills 3. At least 2 planes and a drone have been downed by Pakistan. Pakistan has also been firing into India, seemingly, I'm guessing, at random. India claims 3 civilians have been killed by Pakistani shelling. Lockdowns in the Kashmiri region on both the Indian and Pakistani side. Right. Villagers report another aircraft crash in Indian-controlled Kashmir. Well, that's interesting. Another one. Who knows if it's the same one? So much fake information running around. There were reports of Pakistan shooting down jets. Not just reports. We know that's happened. They're doing drill practice for civilians in India today. Yeah, they're going to have a lot to work with, too. Propaganda-wise.
2.5 years that they were launch pads which were full of the terrorists all those years, and we had been suggesting to the government those days also, please be proactive. 10 of them will come this side, 9 you will kill.
No, very true. This was a long time coming. There were multiple terror launch pads, which is why you're seeing 9 targets right now in these strikes. Captain Jha, just stay with us because we'd like your expertise also on how this particular strike was carried out. Let's just talk about the targets here, Preeti. And what Captain Jha also pointed out was that there are multiple...
I expected more explicit genocidal language. It's like Israeli news. You get the really Hitlerite stuff in Hebrew. This is the English-speaking media coming out of India, you know? They're gonna dial it down here. Wow, the swastika in the chat. Yeah, the crazy thing is, since they're a Hindu nationalist, you can't tell which way they're using the swastika. Could be both ways. Who knows?
Terrorists and then deploying them to target Indians. 2611 attacker Ajmal Kasab confessed that he was also trained in Muridke, where the terror hub is located, where the strike has happened. Kasab also described the complex as key to plotting terror attacks and indoctrination. So since then to now, our forces, our agencies have been closely tracking all of the movement in this particular area. Muridke, mind you, is close to Lahore, and that tells you how sensitive an operation this was and how precise this strike was. Osama.
They're all saying the exact same thing over and over and over again. I wonder how much of that is just because it's easiest to gravitate towards those points. How much of it is them being told from, like, the state, essentially, to say those things? How much of it is, like... I wonder, like, what degree of collaboration there is, essentially, on reinforcing those exact same points. The same thing, like, we've heard it in the first stream, too. 9 targets, perfect success, you know, the same... Jesus Christ, this one guy. He's having fun. Fighting the war. They don't have a spam filter in their chat. Well, I mean, it's Indian news. Isn't that, like, how people... I guess it's like how people, in my mind, that is how nationalists outside of America communicate. I know Americans do it too, but because I'm being racist, this is how I imagine, like, it's an extra America thing. It's outside of America. You go take a look at, like, any news, any live news feed having to do with Greece, Turkey, Serbia, Albania, Pakistan, India, just any country where there's, like, an ongoing nationalist beef, and it's all people spamming the flag, laughing, crying emoji, all caps, mockery, that sort of thing. You get me. You understand. You know what I'm talking about. Do we do it too? Yeah, but that doesn't serve my point. Albania mentioned. I mention Albania pretty often, I think. I'm Indian, and most people I know are taking this pretty lightly. Yeah, I mean, you're a lot stronger than Pakistan, and you get saturated in a lot of, like, militaristic nationalist jingoism against Pakistan. So I imagine most people think of it as, like, you know, whatever. It's just an ongoing border situation that happens all the time. Pakistan seems to have shot down 5 warplanes. I thought it was only 2. They've claimed 5. I haven't seen any evidence to that point, though. Reuters says 5. Reuters confirms 5? Huh. That feels like a lot. Where are the Pakistani strikes? I mean, apparently Pakistan's been knocking jets out of the sky. And I believe that, I mean, they're just firing artillery into India. Blackout in Muzaffarabad, we saw that. Pakistan says 2 mosques targeted in India strikes. Okay. Pakistan's defense minister claims more planes have been shot down. At least 8 killed in Pakistan. UAE foreign minister urges restraint. Airports closed in India-administered Kashmir, northern India. Pakistan not mincing its words. Confirms attack on Indian military targets. Rubio monitoring the situation. Schools closed in Pakistan's Punjab province. Airlines suspend or divert flights. Condemns cowardly attack. 3 civilians killed by Pakistani artillery fire. Pakistan accuses India of unprovoked and blatant act of war. Yeah, that seems to be the case. Rubio spoke with Indian Pakistani security officials. Pakistani minister says whole nation supports retaliation against India. Pakistani Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Atala Tarar. Is that the fellow we saw earlier? He's certainly been present on the feeds. Fellow with the beard? Yep, that's him. Okay. This guy's pretty active. I mean, he's out there, you know? How likely is it nothing ever happens? I feel like the era of nothing ever happens is over. Like that era is done, you know? We're not that was like a very temporal idea, I think. We're kind of in the happening era now. We're in the foe of after the Fae. Ibrahim L. Lincoln. I know that most of you guys have never interacted with a Muslim before, so I will forgive you for being a little bit ingracious on this. There are like a billion Muslim guys who have a beard but no mustache. It's like really, really, really common. So you can't call all of them Lincoln, is what I'm saying. Is there any chance this just stays between India and Pakistan? What are the odds the US or others get involved? I mean, it depends on what you mean by get involved. Diplomatically, we're already involved. Get involved in the extent of like troops on the ground, 0% chance. The only country outside of India and Pakistan that has any chance of getting directly involved is China, because China also wants a slice of Kashmir and, you know, other things. Who are Pakistan's allies? Most notably China and Afghanistan, and formerly us, but not so much anymore. Not Afghanistan? Well, I don't expect the Taliban to be able to do that much anyway, but China also needs Pakistan for its coast since they're insecure about having one coast. That makes sense. Pakistan and Taliban have had border skirmishes. I suppose things, the friendship mellowed out after the Taliban actually took the country back. Wouldn't a war between India and Pakistan lead to further conflict? We're not at like a full war dynamic right now. That's not where we're at. We're not there presently. Pakistan funded Pashtun nationalist militia for decades and had a Pikachu moment when they took power in Afghanistan and then turned around and started rattling to liberate Pashtun regions of Pakistan. That rules. What the fuck is this? Somebody linked this and said one of the people who was a victim of or present at the terrorist attack in Kashmir like 2 weeks ago has been speaking out against violence between India and Pakistan, and there are right-wing Indians on Twitter who are like lambasting her. As per her batchmates, she used to visit Kashmiri boys' hostel Jhelum at JNU a lot, mostly late night for study purpose. So they're calling her like a slut to Muslim boys, basically. Fascism really is the same, like literally everywhere on earth, huh? Like it's all incel shit all the time. Do you think that if they had like Twitter back then in like 1933, there would have been like German Seath posting about the like Chad Jew stealing the beautiful Aryan girl or something? I don't know. It's like the same thing every time. They literally did. It's really funny. They literally did. It's just like because the anti-Semitic propaganda has taken a different beat since then. So the idea of like on the eve of World War II and the Holocaust, the idea of like German incels seething and like scribbling Wojaks of 6'6" Jewish guys with like the curlies and stuff, and they've got like an Aryan girl under each arm or something. It's just genuinely like unbelievably funny. The Pakistani government made a post that Indian jets attacked from Indian airspace. How can the jets be shot down in Pakistani territory then? Have they been? I don't know what the landing locations of the jets are. I mean, there was a report that this aircraft crashed in Indian-controlled Kashmir. But if we're talking about jets flying right over the line of control, I mean, if you shoot one, it could land miles from where you shot it, right? What would need to happen for this to go nuclear? I don't know. We're a long way away from that. Read his bio. I believe in real something, not political. Honda Sherny/feminists, middle finger. Real men are God. Weak simp men are a disease. Yeah. From the official Twitter account of the Pakistani government. Do we have accurate and timely press releases? We have hype moments in aura, sir. 3,000 black jets of Allah posting. Yeah. Yeah, the fact that India hit mosques in their missile strike really, really, really does not make them look good in terms of like the argument that they were striking terror cells. Now, obviously, the terrorists they're referring to are Islamic extremists. So the pretext they would use is that the mosques were being used as training grounds or hubs or whatever else. But like, come on. It probably wasn't technically a mosque. It's a madrasa. This is what they hit. What is a madrasa? I don't know what I'm looking at here. Religious school? Okay, gotcha. How did you all know that? Sorry, I know I've got an international audience, but because I live in Philly? Okay. Their argument, the religious school was a training ground for Islamic extremists. Okay, but like you see why this is why you shouldn't fire missiles into another sovereign country's territory, right? Like that's kind of the point, you know? Worth noting that hitting these is a war crime no matter what bullshit they say. Well, it's not just that it's a war crime, because even if it wasn't a war crime, which could be possible, there are things they could have hit where it wouldn't be a war crime. For example, if they hit explicitly terrorist operation base, like a cell, like something like explicitly, like these are militant, like legitimate targets, and they were struck, right? But even if that wouldn't be a war crime, it would still be instigatory towards war between two nuclear powers. So like you're 2 layers deep on the argument, right? Like even if we assume every one of the 9 targets hit are fully legitimate military targets, which they're not, there's no way, you then have the extra problem of like, well, why are you starting a war? Is war bad? Apparently scholars are still out in the question. World must have zero tolerance for terrorism, Indian foreign minister says. Minister of External Affairs Subramanyam Jaishankar has made his first public comments on New Delhi's attacks on Pakistan and Pakistani-administered Kashmir. The world must show zero tolerance for terrorism, he said in a post on his official Twitter account. Is that it? So Vosh, your advice is that the Indian government simply lets Pakistan-backed terror groups continue to kill civilians in India? Listen, no Maya here, I need you to understand this, okay? We know what you are. And you're reinforcing a lot of very negative stereotypes about your people by doing this, okay? You can't keep wading into other countries' discussions talking as though you're in your nationalist bubble. Like, even from your perspective, if you want to convince us to be on board with India being instigatory towards conflict in this way, you need to do it, like, more subtly than that. I'm just giving you advice. You know what's crazy? I haven't seen Pakistani ultranationalists on the same level as Indian ultranationalists online. Oh no, India's way worse. In terms of population, and also keep in mind, they have an Ura Hindu nationalist fascist government. Pakistan, I think the average, like, Pakistani civilian is, like, legitimately just trying to keep their head above the water. Like, their government isn't popular enough to even, like, weaponize a populist. Like, if you took the average person from Pakistan, they're probably pretty racist against Indians, I'm guessing, just like on average. I'm not saying all of them, but on average. But they don't have that same like populist zeal. And since the population of Pakistan's a lot lower, you don't have the same. Also, they probably speak English less, would be my guess. Because a lot of Indians speak English. I mean, Pakistan's been funding terror groups for a long time, then always claim plausible deniability. India should actually use pressure to deter Pakistan from constantly doing this shit. Their government strategy is literally to do this, kill India with 1,000 cuts. Let me just check when you first started chatting. Oh, you first chatted here in 2020. Oh my God. You might still be Indian, but you're not, you didn't just start chatting today. Sure, I'll answer it directly then. No, that's insane. India, a nuclear power, should fire missiles into another nuclear power rather than allow an independent investigation of the circumstances of the terrorist attack that happened like 2 weeks ago? Are you kidding me? That's absolutely insane. You should start a war because there was a terror attack, a tragedy that took place, which we don't even know if the Pakistani government had anything to do with it. I mean, like, yeah, we know Pakistan is riddled with corruption and terror cells. That doesn't mean you just get to start war willy-nilly. What's the goal? Is it Greater Pakistan? I don't think Pakistan's doing a land grab here, my man. Pakistan is the 3rd biggest number of English speakers, 108 million. Damn, 108? That's crazy. Okay. Didn't know that. I'm not saying immediately start a war, but just use all different kinds of pressure. Starting a war. That's what they're doing. Firing missiles into the adjacent country? Come on, we know this is Modi desperately trying to shore up domestic support and power because he's losing popularity. The idea that this is any kind of like targeted, proportional, or like a deterrent response or anything is total bullshit. Like this is meant to fix or solve anything? No. This is about oorah, oorah, oorah. You know, bang the drums, ring the bells, let's go to war, or at least let's threaten war because it makes Modi look strong. India also failed to catch the terrorists. Yeah, they're definitely not happy about it. It's been part of Pakistani military doctrine since its inception. You can't say that when you don't know that the terrorist attack that happened was orchestrated by the Pakistani government. What you're describing is a completely irrational, there's no connection between the cause and effect here. You're saying a terror cell based out of Pakistan did a bad thing, therefore India should start war with Pakistan. No. Like, well, what should India do? Not start a war with Pakistan. Like, that's the line I'm drawing. Oh, well, then what is India supposed to do? Not start a war with their nuclear neighbor? Yes, that is what they're supposed to not do. Why not wait for an independent investigation? Why not push for peacekeepers in the region? Why not say you want to work with Pakistani, officials to investigate cells that have crossed into Indian Kashmir territory, or investigate further, or anything like this? No. There's a million things that you can do, but none of them achieve the Modi, oorah, let's start a war, fascist hype train bullshit. Work with Pakistan? Come on now. Why not? They're both people. Bosh Pakistan has been endlessly backing and funding and giving these people safe haven. Pak Army, I know what you are, has literally stonewalled investigations that were agreed to in the past. Okay, and you can't start a war. Obviously you're a biased source of information, so I don't need to take the information you provide at your word, as if India is a trustworthy or reliable diplomatic arbiter in the region, honestly. But no, you can't start a war. Sorry, that's the line. I'm sorry, you're not gonna budge me on that. You can't threaten to begin nuclear war because you want to settle or manage what? So a few dozen people die a year to like terrorism that crosses the border. So like 1/1000th of the number of people that die every year in America due to like car crashes or something. Time to start nuclear war? Time to start World War III? Oh, you don't understand. I know that nuclear war would be bad, but anything was preferable to this like ongoing border dispute / occasional terrorist attacks. No. Your jingoism is psychotic and indefensible, like empirically. So just take it. Oh, you don't want us to start a war with Pakistan. What do you even want us to do then? What can we possibly do? There's no middle ground. You're actually crazy. Like, you're genuinely, like, nationalism has rotted your brain. Why watch me? Like, did you not get a warning sign for the difference in our politics by the way I reacted to the genocide of the Palestinians? Because I gotta say, Hamas killed way the more Israelis on October 7th than terrorists that may or may not be affiliated with Pakistan's government did 2 weeks ago in India. And the nuclear war between Pakistan and India has the potential to kill far more people than the genocide in Gaza. So mathematically, I just don't understand how you're working this out. I don't get it. Don't start a war. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay? That's it. I think Vosh might make people mad with this one. It's the most consistent application of my politics of all time. The attack that happened has been credibly linked to Pakistani military-backed orgs. That means literally nothing. You want to do that logic with American-backed or American-affiliated terrorist groups? Because congratulations, you're opening the door up. You know the Taliban has a lot of old U.S. equipment they pulled from the ANA, right? No. I don't want credibly, no. I'm not saying have they been associated. I'm asking, do we have evidence that Pakistan's government orchestrated this? Or is this just another instance? You realize the logic that you're employing would hold the Mexican government culpable for every crime committed by a cartel member across the border. You realize that, right? You realize that the Sinaloa cartel are Mexican government affiliated. You know that, right? They have very deep ties with regional and national government officials in Mexico. So your logic would mean America, you're giving me the MAGA logic. Like, we should be able to invade Mexico. What are we supposed to do? Just take it? We've known the Mexican government has been corrupt and has been in league with the cartels for decades now. What do we do if we can't just start a war with Mexico? We just take it? Like you just apply your logic to other situations, okay? And also, don't start wars. Pakistan literally backed the LET, which did the Mumbai attacks in 2008, which killed like 2,008 people. Pakistan said they would investigate, then magically found no one guilty, let everyone go. Okay. Dude, did you know that 20 years ago a different thing happened? Anyway, let's start a nuclear war. Stop! Why are you all so bloodthirsty, man? I'm the one who's supposed to play up the bloodthirstiness for partially comedic effect and partly sort of a Joker mode response to the situation at hand. Like, why are you... It's basically the same group that did this. That none of this has anything to do with the right to start a war. While I do agree with this sentiment, I think the expansionist ambition of LET is changing the calculations significantly compared to state cartels. It's really not. You guys understand there's basically nothing Pakistan could do to justify India instigating potential nuclear war apart from themselves doing war. Two nuclear nations duking it out is so far above any other petty concern. Like everything else, all this other shit, the environment, terrorism, demographic displacement. There are so many things that fall lower on the totem pole of how potentially fucked up things could get below what India is doing here. Like you are justifying the highest possible level of risk taking over something that just happened, for which India did not want an independent investigation, even though, by the way, the investigation would have taken place in Indian territory because it's Indian controlled Kashmir. Like they would have had a lot of say over how the information got processed. They could have had like a lot of control over making sure that everything got like you're just, I'm not set again, like, and then people will say like, well, what do you want India to do? Not start the war? And I say yes. And they're like, well, what are they supposed to do? There's a lot of stuff you can do to address this, man. But the idea that Modi's government is even coming remotely close to detente with Pakistan is ludicrous. Like, you think India has really exhausted every option? You really think that India has done the best that it can? Yes, account created today. Pakistan doing this is them committing an act of war. Okay, I'm from Bombay. I'm going to ban you because I can't spend the whole stream doing this. Pakistan didn't do this. A terror cell from Pakistan did this. Those are two different things. Again, like there's no point in me issuing like logical arguments when you're not going to engage with them. Again, it would be like finding the Mexican government responsible for what the cartels do. Like you are being deliberately irrational. You're not. This is what nationalism is such a poison, man. Like and I know it's hard for people to do this, even rational people. It's hard for anyone to do this. Me, you, everyone, to take a moment and think, am I insane on this? You are being insane on this, and you are ignoring rational points in favor of your bloodlust. Now, I don't care how progressive you think you are. As it turns out, you're only as good a political actor as you are in your worst subject when it comes down to it. I mean, it's like Hitler was a vegetarian stuff, but we don't think of him for his animal rights record, do we? No. You can't, oh yeah, I'm a socialist. Oh yeah, I want the world to get better. Treatment of the working class, income inequality, housing, walkable cities, and then you can't do that. And then when India escalates war with Pakistan, you're like, yes. Yeah. You can't square that circle. What if Pakistan is basically a terrorist state? I don't know, man. Aren't we all terrorist states a little bit? India assassinates Sikh nationalists in Canada. Israel is Israel, Russia is Russia, America is America. I don't know. I agree that Modi's unnecessarily escalating the situation and is in the wrong, but let's say they do the independent investigation and do find the government in Pakistan did it. What should happen next? Could it ever justify war? Well, so by finding out the government in Pakistan did that, what you would need to find is that it was deliberately orchestrated, like it was a planned, essentially like a military operation, right? And that the Pakistani government tried to hide it. Which, if you found that, I think that India would be justified in a laundry list of severe retaliatory actions. Not military, mind you, but the ending of treaties. I mean, they're fighting over the water rights thing right now, but like there's a lot of stuff that India could do to credibly threaten Pakistan, and they would get the world on their side. Already the world likes India more than Pakistan for a variety of reasons, but that would justify a lot. But war doesn't solve anything. Senator Jake Fortnite, the cartels are absolutely terrorist organizations by any definition. Has Trump said anything about this yet? Yeah, he said good luck. I don't think cartels are terrorist orgs because they're not seeking any type of political outcome, but they are. Cartels fight for territory. They fight for government power. The cartels are just as much a terrorist org as the Taliban. The Taliban are like a regional, national militia group, or were, that sought power over Afghanistan, and then they obtained it, and now they're the essentially legitimate government of Afghanistan. If we say the Taliban are terrorists, which they are, but they were just like a group fighting for power within their country. Cartels are a political power. They're a political force. They have diplomats. They have heads of operation. Their goal is to, obtain as much power as possible. They usually do that through, illicit trade, smuggling, what have you. But if they had the opportunity to just take over, cartels aren't ideological, though. Yes, they are. Come on with this liberal shit. Are you kidding me? Yes, they are. The assertion that your group should be in charge of society is a political assertion. Some have more overt ideological motivations, cultures, even revered figures. Yeah, no, it goes down pretty deep depending on how familiar you are. You can look up like the history of the Sinaloa cartel, but the idea that these people are all just businessmen or whatever is not. Also, the idea that you can't do terrorism if it's just business, that doesn't make any sense. What are we doing here? Has India or Pakistan called or declared war yet? Well, no, thankfully, the initial salvo of missiles from India was a de-escalatory strike, so... Pablo Escobar wanted to be president of Colombia. Don't cartels literally, like, worship the angel of death? I think some of them do. The Pakistani military and intelligence's whole reason for existence and legitimacy to control their entire government is to fight India? What are you talking about? No, Pakistan's a different kind of state. Unlike other kinds of states that just exist normally, Pakistan, like, really doesn't like India. Unlike other states. There are no other states out. For one, the definition of a state, you can't be a normal state if you really don't like another state. Normal states don't really dislike other states. That makes Pakistan unique in a bad way, that they don't like India. What the f*** is wrong with you? You people are crazy. You're crazy, man. Their military controls their government? Whoa, that's crazy. You're telling me they're not democratic? Two, the legitimacy of their military comes from fighting India. You are, again, you can't argue with these guys. It's like arguing about God with religious people. They're so ideologically compromised. It's insane. They're really not beating the stereotypes? Yeah, they're not. By the way, and I'm not saying this to tilt the scales or anything, so far we're at like 20 annoying Indians and 0 annoying Pakistanis. Can we all, like, that's true. It's not, in the war for public opinion right now, it's not going well for India. Bro, you don't understand. Pakistan's military is different, okay? Unlike most militaries, their military's legitimacy comes from fighting enemy countries. They deem a country an enemy, in this case India, and then their fight against that country is how they stay popular and in power. That's not like other militaries. But, oh man. I don't want the bias to stack up too much. We need some annoying Pakistanis to come in, you know? Because, Jesus, man. I fell asleep in math class in 9th grade and a Pakistani kid put a jelly bean up my nose, so not gonna lie, that's one for India in my book. That's fair. That's fair. The scales are righting themselves. From I'm from Bombay too, at Vosh, sorry for violating my ban. Okay, hold on. That's fair. Don't ban them. No, I respect that. That's, yeah, that's pretty good. I respect that. That's good shit. Welcome back. That's funny. Okay. Jesus Christ. Mosque says missile strike killed 13 in Bahawalpur Mosque. Yeesh. I still don't understand the purpose of prioritizing strikes on civilians. I mean, I don't know whether or not this mosque was actually credibly tied to a terror cell. Not that it would justify the strike, but I guess it would change the narrative, damaging at least 4 mosques and a medical clinic. Like, the fact that they struck so many mosques, man. Like, I don't think Islamic terror cells operate primarily out of mosques, you know? Like, I'm sure that's a place they go to, but they probably have other buildings. It just seems kind of... And the strikes happened in the middle of the night, so it's not like there was any meetings taking place or whatever. Like, they just... Like, I don't know. Wasn't that a big thing post 9/11 that terrorists would be organizing in mosques? Yeah, and for the most part, it was complete bullshit. The FBI was basically told, like, hey, you got to catch, like, 50 Muslims or something who are planning terrorist attacks, because otherwise people are going to think you're not doing anything. And it would... The FBI was so... like, couldn't find anyone, so they tried to honeypot people. They were literally, like, finding, like, weird 14-year-old Muslim boys in New York City and being like, hey, like befriending them online through GeoCities or whatever, or Neopair, whatever the thing was back then in, like, 2002, and being like, hey, dude, wouldn't it be, like, super radical if you did, like, a bombing or something? Club Penguin. Yeah, not honeypot entrapment, that's right. A sprawling building located near the mosque in Meerut previously served as the headquarters for Lashkar-e-Taiba, LET, until 2013, when Pakistan banned the group and took control of the seminary, schools, and dispensaries run by a charity linked to LET founder Hafiz Saeed. In Bahawalpur, another missile struck a mosque adjacent to a religious seminary that once served as the central office of Jaish-e-Mohammed, a militant group outlawed by former president in 2002. Like what? Like did they just chose like random former sites? Just anything they had an idea about? I don't know. Al Jazeera updates hilarious. Pakistan claims Indian army raised white flag at border. Pakistani forces shot down 5 enemy aircraft and 1 drone. Pakistani forces inflicted heavy damage on enemy posts along line of control. The Indian army hoisted a white flag at the Chira complex in the line of control. This guy, man. That's really funny. Because they openly operate in these places to this day, and one of the known targets was in use as late as this year. In October 2022, Pakistan was removed from the gray list of the Financial Action Task Force due to significant improvements in the counter-terrorist financing framework. However, as the world's top intergovernmental body for preventing terror financing took this step, the most widely acknowledged base of the terror outfit, Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur, was undergoing a major expansion. Satellite imagery analysis indicates that Jamia Masjid Subhan Allah has doubled in size to over 18 acres, nearly twice its original footprint since construction 2011-2012. 2011-2012, wasn't this, okay, 2013 was when the group was banned. Allegedly, ostensibly, nominally. The pace of construction at the site accelerated in late 2022, coinciding with Pakistan's removal from the gray list, and continues to date, according to analysis of satellite images provided India Today by Damien Simon, a geointelligence researcher at the Intel Lab. No, that's for LET. This is for JEM. So this doesn't refer to that? That's a different thing? Oh, yeah, you're right. LET. Okay, so this is a different thing. Okay. This is a really funny YouTube thumbnail. So wait, what does this have to do with the strikes? Mosque and Redurki, Cert LET, da-da-da. But it's not these. It's a different thing? Pakistan and state-sponsored terrorism. Should be a light, breezy read. Okay, LET and JEM are the two we're talking about here, right? These are the two groups we're talking about? These are the ones that are... Which is the one that conducted the terrorist attack 2 weeks ago? Offshoot of LET? TRF, but TRF is basically an LET splinter group? Okay. When should we consider terror groups an extension of the government? That's genuinely like an interesting question. It's difficult to say. Like, if there is a terrorist group that was funded by the government 20 years ago, but has since operated as a kind of like splinter cell of its own without direct government involvement, is that really like representative of the government? Probably not. What if they have contacts to some members of the high cabinet or the military government, but it's not known to the broader population or the broader government? Like, what if there are a few people who are corrupt and in power who use the terrorist group as a de facto private militia? Their actions aren't officially condoned, you know? So like, is nuclear war going to happen? Just put the Adderall in the mouth, okay? Be patient. Look at Iran, that's the best example. Well, Iran is a clear-cut example of the farthest possible case, where there are Iranian-backed militias that are funded by Iran that operate essentially directly as extensions of the Iranian government, you know? The Houthis and Hamas get arms and support from Iran, but they're not directly controlled by Iran, at least not generally. But there are some terror cells and Iranian-backed militias in, say, Iraq or Syria that are basically just directly connected to the Iranian government, like very much, if not a 1-to-1, a 1 to 0.9 or something, you know? So... there's that. There's a lot of variance, but it's not JEM that's being accused of having done the most recent thing, okay? It's LET. All right, LET. Lit. What about Wagner? Well, Wagner is a mercenary group that is just directly an arm of the Kremlin. So what's the vibe? Are these guys government affiliated or unknown? These guys are definitely government affiliated. The question is, like, do they operate more or less at their own behest? Are they just like radicalized, you know, somethings with connections to the government? Or are they, you know, acting directly at their behest? What about the Azov Battalion? What are you talking about? The Azov Battalion is an official part of the Ukrainian military. They're a battalion in the Ukrainian military. They're part of the official command structure. They were a regional militia until they were incorporated. Okay, here we go. United Jihad Council. That's a wacky name. An Islamist jihadist, or yeah, this sounds like a Discord group. Indian Ministry of Defense press conference in 10. Great, link it when it's done, or link it when it's out, when it's up, whatever. An Islamist jihadist organization formed by the Pakistan Army for united command and control of the anti-Indian militant groups operating in Jammu and Kashmir. Formed in the summer of 1994, and it currently headed by Syed Salahuddin, the leader of Hizb ul-Mujahideen. The organization could unify and focus efforts of various armed militant groups fighting against Indian rule in Kashmir. This made distribution of resources like arms, ammunition, propaganda materials, and communications more streamlined. Okay. The militant group has 14 affiliates. Is LET one of them? Group members Harakat al-Sadad, Jama'at Mujahideen, Al Jihad, Arbak, Arbara, the Pakistan Reform System, Council's fire made influential, Lakshar-e-Toiba, Hizb ul-Mujahideen, Harakat ul-Mujahideen, Al-Barati. No, this doesn't include LET. Yes, Lakshar-e-Toiba? Is that the same one? That's a different name. Oh yeah, LET. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Lakshar-e-Toiba. There we go. Sorry, I don't know why I thought there was a K in there. Lakshar, not Lashar. Okay. Gotcha. So this org is led by John Jihad? Essentially, yes. People's Anti-Fascist Front. Huh. The subgroup that committed the most recent terrorist attack. The Resistance Front. TRF. Okay, wait 1 second. They rescinded their claims of responsibility? Did they? In April 2025, TRF claimed responsibility for the 2025 Pahalgam attack and later retracted their claim of responsibility. What, did the kitchen get too hot for them, or do you think they were trying to clout farm by claiming credit for an attack they didn't do, but then when the kitchen got too hot for them, they were like, no, never mind. Yeah, because that has been known to happen. There are Islamic militant groups do kind of like to do that, where somebody will get hit by a falling bird, no claim for it. They'll try to cloud farm off it. The leaders of the terrorist orgs openly roam around in Pakistan despite being designated as terrorists. They even form parties and contest elections. Pakistan government/military has enabled these groups for a long time, continues to do so. I'm not contesting that. Sorry, not to sound defensive, it's just I feel like sometimes the way people type, they're typing as though they're arguing against a position I have, that Pakistan isn't a state-sponsored backer of terror, or that they're not a state that sponsors terrorism. So the revocation, a new militant group called the Resistance Front sprang up in Kashmir, believed to have been sponsored by Pakistan-based Lakshar-e-Taiba, a UN-designated terrorist group. The TRF has also been designated as a terrorist organization in India, formed from the cadres of LET and Hizb ul-Mujahideen in Kashmir. TRF has carried out attacks on Hindu minority communities. Then there was the Pahalgam attack. The Resistance Front, offshoot of the Pakistan-based terrorist group Lakshar-e-Taiba, claimed responsibility for the attack, linking it to Indian government policy that allows non-Kashmiris to live and work, resulting in non-local settlement in Kashmir. In a statement on the local media platform Telegram, TRF opposed the granting of domicile certificates to outsiders and voiced discontent at resulting alleged demographic changes in the region. It's always the same story. It claimed these non-locals arrive posing as tourists, obtain domiciles, then began to act as if they own the land. Consequently, violence will be directed towards those attempting to settle illegally. TRF has a history of targeting non-Kashmiri settlers on such grounds. On the 26th of April, TRF retracted responsibility for the attack, claiming their initial claim of responsibility was a communications breach. TRF accused Indian intelligence operatives of having a part in the attack and stated they were conducting their own investigation into the perpetrators. Do I believe that? No. What are the odds that that's true? Not high. Not impossible, but not high. I just don't understand why they would rescind responsibility. This is like number one. This is what they want, Couldn't it just be another group did it and they claim responsibility too soon? Yeah, but if another group did it, that's very curious. It has been known for these types of organizations to take credit for attacks they didn't commit because they're cloud farming. But for them to then rescind credit? Why? That seems odd to me. I don't really get it. Why rescind the credit? And after 3 days as well, that doesn't make any sense. You're telling me if someone hacked your account and took credit on your behalf, you couldn't correct that misunderstanding sooner? Like within the hour, basically? It does sound like the kitchen got too hot with them, or for them, Like they wanted to do a little bit of fun terrorism, but they didn't want to be blamed for India cutting off water to all of Pakistan. 3 Indian fighter jets have crashed, according to Indian security forces. 3 more, or 3 in total? They clearly identified one of the terrorists as a TRF operative. Sure, but just because they were a member of the group doesn't necessarily mean that the attack was orchestrated by the group. That being said, it probably was, but it's still weird, don't you think? That doesn't strike false flag to me. That strikes more things got out of hand. They didn't understand how far this was going. No, just seems odd. I guess stuff like that, it's often odd. You don't always get all the details. Come on, Vosh, stop jumping through this many hoops to defend them. You are mentally ill. You're reading tea leaves right now. What the f*** are you talking about? What defense? What hoops? What are you talking about? Like, the fact that you're reading what I'm saying as a defense of Islamic terror against civilians is genuinely a self-report. Like, you're so primed, you're on a hair trigger. I wonder if there was a miscommunication within the organization. Either it went further than they expected, the militants who conducted the operation did more than they expected, they didn't expect the response to be as severe. Did India hack their account? No, I don't think so. Could another group have done it and they took credit for it and then realized how serious the situation is? Maybe, but like, what other group? It's pretty difficult to get away with that in the modern world. You know, like just you conduct an attack and you're like a total nobody. Man, I really wish India had let an investigation take place. Now we'll likely never know. Yeah. Could it have been a sub-faction of the group? Possibly. There are splinters all the time in groups like this. You know, they're all like crazy motherfuckers, so... Wait, are they just terrorists on Twitter? Yeah, but you usually have to translate from Hebrew to understand what they're saying. What are the chances this will escalate into full-on war? I don't know. I don't know. 10, 20%, maybe? I don't know. That's a spitball. Could be 5, could be 50. My guess would be 10 or 20. The government later admitted a security lapse, revealing that Baisaran Valley had been opened to tourists 2 months ahead of schedule without notifying security forces. 2 months? 2 months? It's a contested region next to a disputed border. At what point do we get to say something happened, Vosh? I think that this, sometimes, the way that you guys view this as spectacle is a little bit disturbing to me. In response, after the 2025 Pahalgam attack, Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Ishaq Dar, intensified tensions by referring to the assailants as freedom fighters. That's not going to help your case very much. Don't know about that one. Gavin Newsom. Actually, this guy looks a lot like Ian Miles Chong to me. Okay, you see it. Born to a family of Kashmiri descent. The bad guy called the good guys freedom fighters? No. A Pakistani politician called Islamic extremists who murdered civilians freedom fighters, which is not good optics, I'm being told. Pakistan Deputy PM refers to terrorists as freedom fighters. Labeling the April 22nd attack perpetrators as freedom fighters, made the remark during a press briefing in Islamabad where he spoke alongside Pakistani ministers and NSC officials. Those who carried out attacks in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam district in April 22nd might be freedom fighters. We don't know who they were, Dar stated. What? Why would you say that? That's so bad.
वो हमें शुक्रगुजार होना चाहिए कि ये तो फ्रीडम फाइटर्स भी हो सकते हैं. We don't know कि कौन है. तो हम वो हमें शुक्रगुजार होना चाहिए कि ये तो फ्रीडम फाइटर्स भी हो सकते हैं. वी डोंट नो कि कौन है. तो हमने कोई किसी किस्म की बिल्कुल ऑनेस्टी के साथ स्टेटमेंट दी थी, लेकिन मैं समझता हूं कि उन्होंने अपनी फेलियर को और अपनी सियासत को जो इंटरनल है और अपने ज़ाती अज़ाइम जो उनके अंदरूनी है उसका हवाला करते हुए एक दफ़ा फिर ये जो इनडायरेक्टली पाकिस्तान की तरफ ये मामले को उसकी तरफ इशारा करने की कोशिश.
He is saying we should be thankful that we don't know who they are. Pakistani officials keep implicating themselves. I mean, yeah, a lot of them are pretty tied up in terrorism, right? Looks like both sides don't know what to do, so it's just how much blood does Modi want? Honestly, that's probably the most correct answer, yeah. The idea that the attack was done by Pakistani government affiliated terrorists who might be working under the auspices of some direction from some officials, but not really in the official capacity of Pakistan's government. And things went overboard, like relative to what Pakistan's government expected. Obviously, they slaughtered civilians, and Pakistan's kind of in this weird position where they know they're like kind of responsible because they keep letting terrorism fester in their country, and they don't plan on really changing that for a wide variety of complicated reasons. But at the same time, they didn't like deliberately do the specific attack, so they don't feel a need to like defend it directly. And so it's basically the balls at India's court, like the extent to which, you know, they want to make a, you know, casus belli out of it. They're like, it is what it is. Literally, though, yeah, that's like, that seems like it's the most likely explanation. Pakistan is just like, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. Like, we didn't tell them to do it. We didn't tell them not to do it. It just kind of happened. India has been up a lot of Kashmiri people in the region, so like, you know, maybe India shouldn't be a dick, but then like Pakistan allows terrorists to fester in their country and they don't do anything, and what are you gonna do? I don't know. It's a fucked up situation. I have no idea what I would do as the leader of either country to fix this. Well, I guess we kind of know what we know, right? Pakistan is giving India an off-ramp. Really? Pakistan Defense Minister Khawaja Asif, Pakistan is ready to refrain from military escalation if India stops its aggression. At Grok, is this true? Thanks, Grok. Well, this is good news. India killed some civilians, Pakistan killed some civilians. Nah, we'll call it even. I don't know if the nationalist fervor in India will let this slide or if they'll eat Modi alive. See, that's what I'm thinking as well. Like, Pakistan wants an off-ramp relatively quickly because, again, India's the larger country, but Modi is a lot more bloodthirsty. Like, the moment the terrorist attack happened, Modi didn't just, like, threaten Pakistan. Modi started, like, cutting water treaties, you know? It's like the reprisal or threatened reprisal from Modi goes a lot farther than just like 12 hours of exchanging missile strikes and artillery fire. Is this enough for Modi to consider it a victory? Again, you have to assume that the reason India is behaving the way that it is because Modi is looking to piggyback off of this nationalism to try to secure more power. You know, he wants to consolidate. So would this be enough? Is this enough for him? Is it enough for every, like, Indian news channel to be saying, you know, 9 strikes perfectly targeted, excellent, well done, Pakistan quivers? Next Indian elections aren't till 2029 at the latest? Sure, but why let a tragedy go to waste, you know? Why let an opportunity go to waste? I do feel like there's a decent possibility that India decides this isn't enough, and they're going to be like, no, this has not ended the terroristic capabilities of Pakistan. We need to fire more missiles or whatever. But maybe not. Maybe it does end here. That'd be good. Again, like in a humanitarian sense, that would be the best possible outcome. See, this is what I mean, man. That Operation Sindoor Twitter post from the External Affairs Minister of India, Jaishankar, 2 hours ago it was posted, 155k likes. I mean, I know there are lots of Indians on Twitter, but like, I don't know, man. You're getting everyone all gunned up for this and it's over with in less than 24 hours? I don't know. Modi literally said today they'll retain water they once sent out, not normal rhetoric if you're not gearing up for more. Yeah, stuff like that. Like he's been saying, you know, like we're gonna essentially starve out Pakistan or subject them to drought. I don't know. Guess we'll see. Jesus Christ. That's great. AI not so useless now, huh, Vosh? That's true. Finally, we found a use case. Sorry, chat, you're gonna have to translate.
सजा पाने से बचे रहते हैं.
Type faster.
इसके अलावा पाकिस्तान ने इस मुद्दे पर विश्व और फाइनेंशियल एक्शन टास्क फोर्स जैसे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंचों को जानबूझकर गुमराह करने के लिए भी जाना जाता है. साजिद मीर का मामला, जिसमें इस आतंकवादी को पाकिस्तान ने मृत घोषित कर दिया था और फिर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय दबाव के परिणाम स्वरूप वो जीवित पाया गया, इसका सबसे स्पष्ट उदाहरण है.
Pakistan has lied on international forums.
पहलगाम में हुए इस हमले से जम्मू और कश्मीर के साथ-साथ भारत के अन्य भागों में भी आक्रोश देखा गया. हमलों के बाद भारत सरकार ने
Pakistan has tried to misdirect international agencies like the United Nations.
कुछ कदम उठाए. आप सभी उन निर्णयों से अवगत हैं जिसकी घोषणा 23 अप्रैल को की गई थी. तथापि ये आवश्यक समझा गया
Sajid Mir was declared dead, but later admitted he was alive.
और उनके योजनाकारों को न्याय के कटघरे में लाया जाए. हमलों के एक पखवाड़े के बाद भी पाकिस्तान द्वारा अपने क्षेत्र या अपने नियंत्रण वाले क्षेत्रों में आतंकवादियों की इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के विरुद्ध कार्यवाही करने के लिए कोई स्पष्ट कदम नहीं उठाया गया है. उल्टे वो इनकार करने और आरोप लगाने में ही लिप्त रहा है. पाकिस्तान आधारित आतंकवादी मॉड्यूल्स पर हमारी खुफिया निगरानी ने संकेत दिया है कि भारत के विरुद्ध आगे
Pakistan has failed to bring those responsible to court.
इनको रोकना और इनसे निपटना दोनों को बेहद आवश्यक समझा गया. आज सुबह, जैसा कि आपको ज्ञात होगा, भारत ने इस तरह के सीमा पार हमलों का जवाब देने और उन्हें रोकने तथा उनका प्रतिरोध करने के अपने अधिकार का प्रयोग किया है. ये कार्यवाही नपी तुली,
Indications Pakistani-sponsored terrorism will attack India in the future too. Even after the attacks, Pakistan has taken no steps to destroy the terror infrastructure in their administrative region.
और भारत में भेजे जाने वाले संभावित आतंकवादियों को अक्षम बनाने पर केंद्रित है। आपको यह भी स्मरण होगा कि 25 अप्रैल 2025 को संयुक्त राष्ट्र सुरक्षा परिषद ने पहलगाम आतंकवादी हमले पर एक प्रेस वक्तव्य जारी किया था, जिसमें आतंकवाद के इस निंदनीय कार्य के अपराधियों, आयोजकों,
This attack is to disable the terror bases used to launch attacks in India.
और उन्हें न्याय के दायरे में लाने की आवश्यकता पर जोर दिया गया।
We've exerted our right to conduct strikes in Pakistan against terrorism.
आज की इस कार्यवाही को इसी संदर्भ में देखा जाना चाहिए। Good morning. Thank you all for joining this briefing. As you are all aware, on April 22, 2025, Pakistani and Pakistan-trained terrorists belonging to the Lashkar-e-Taiba carried out a savage attack on Indian tourists at Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir in India. They murdered 26 people, including one national of Nepal, causing the largest number of civilian casualties in a terrorist attack in India since the 26 November 2008 attacks in Mumbai. The attack in Pahalgam was marked by extreme barbarity, with the victims mostly killed with headshots from close range and in front of their families. Family members were deliberately traumatized through the manner of the killing, accompanied by the exhortation that they should take back the message. The attack was clearly driven by the objective of undermining the normalcy returning to Jammu and Kashmir. In particular, it was designed to impact the mainstay of the economy, tourism, with a record 23 million tourists visiting the valley last year. The calculation, presumably, was that harming growth and development in the Union Territory would help keep it backward and create fertile ground for continued cross-border terrorism from Pakistan. The manner of the attack was also driven by an objective of provoking communal discord, both in Jammu and Kashmir and the rest of the nation. It is to the credit of the government and the people of India that these designs were foiled. A group calling itself the Resistance Front has claimed responsibility for the attack. This group is a front for the UN-proscribed Pakistani terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba. It is notable that India had given inputs about the TRF in the half-yearly report to the monitoring team of the UN's 1267 Sanctions Committee in May and November 2024, bringing out its role as a cover for Pakistan-based terrorist groups. Earlier too, in December 2023, India had informed the monitoring team about Lashkar and Jaish-e-Mohammed operating through small terror groups such as the TRF. Pakistan's pressure to remove references to TRF in the April 25 UN Security Council press statement is notable in this regard. Investigations into the Pahalgam terror attack have brought out the communication notes of terrorists in and to Pakistan.
All right.
The claims made by the Resistance Front and their reposting by known social media handles of the Lashkar-e-Taiba speak for themselves. Identification of the attackers based on eyewitness accounts as well as other information available to law enforcement agencies has also progressed. Our intelligence has developed an accurate picture of the planners and backers of this team. The features of this attack also tie in with Pakistan's long track record of perpetrating cross-border terrorism in India, which is well documented and beyond question. Pakistan also has a well-deserved reputation as a haven for terrorists from around the world, with internationally proscribed terrorists enjoying impunity there. In addition, Pakistan has been known to willfully mislead the world and international forums, such as the Financial Action Task Force, on this issue. The Sajid Mir case, in which this terrorist was declared dead and then, in response to international pressure, brought back to life, found alive and arrested, is the most glaring example. The latest attack in Pahalgam has understandably generated deep anger in Jammu and Kashmir and in other parts of India. Following the attacks, the government of India naturally responded with a set of initial measures, relating to our engagement with Pakistan. You're all aware of the decisions that were announced on the 23rd of April. However, joining me for this briefing on our actions earlier this morning are Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. I will request them to share some details regarding Operation Sindoor with all of you.
Most of what he said is definitely true with regard to Pakistan obfuscating, not dealing with the terror cells in their country, the association between the terrorists that committed the attack in Pakistan, so on and so forth. That's not really deniable. The problem, I mean, the main problem here, obviously, is Pakistan has had a fortnight, haha, I know, hilarious, to bring these people to justice. For one, that's not a lot of time. And for two, Pakistan was calling for an independent investigation that India didn't let happen. It really undercuts the narrative that this is being done in response to Pakistan not addressing the situation, when India has also not allowed the situation to be addressed to any kind of international standard. Also, if India had evidence of the attack having been committed by a specific group, they should share that. Because to my understanding, the only evidence currently present are A, the fact that the Revolutionary Front took credit for it before rescinding credit, and B, the fact that at least one of those members has been ID'd as a member of the Revolutionary Front. But no, I don't buy it. I mean, look, it's never let a good tragedy go to waste, right? The accusations being levied against Pakistan here are largely correct and accurate, at least to the extent that they can be proven. But I don't think that India is going about this in good faith.
मरकज सुभान अल्लाह भावलपुर ये इंटरनेशनल बाउंड्री से 100 किलोमीटर दूर है। जैश ए मोहम्मद का मुख्यालय था। यहाँ पर रिक्रूटमेंट, ट्रेनिंग व इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन का केंद्र भी था। शीर्ष आतंकी अक्सर यहाँ आते थे। मैं आप सबको बताना चाहती हूँ कि किसी भी सैन्य ठिकाने का निशाना नहीं बनाया गया और अभी तक किसी तरह की नागरिक क्षति की रिपोर्ट नहीं है। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
The strike on the terror camps were undertaken through precision capability, as shown to you. A niche technology weapons with careful selection of warheads was ensured so that there will be no collateral damage. The point of impact in each of the target was a specific building or a group of buildings. All the targets were neutralized with clinical efficiency, and the results reiterate the professionalism of the Indian Armed Forces in the planning and execution of their operations. No military establishments were targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in its response. However, it must be said that the Indian Armed Forces are fully prepared to respond to Pakistani misadventures, if any, that will escalate the situation. Jai Hind, and thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends in the media,
Don't you think it would make them look a lot more credible here if they were saying, who they were targeting? So the target, they're just buildings? That was the target? They did kill people, civilians, by the way. Their targets were just buildings? That was the goal? We precision struck, a mosque or something? Or, this was a training facility? What training facility? What, you just chose random? You're potentially instigating war here. Modi's threatening to cut water off from the entire country. And you're like, oh, yeah, this building was, a terrorist building, and, this one's a terrorist building, and, what? So what's the relationship with the attack? Don't you have, names? Aren't there figures? I would be a lot more likely to justify India's position here if they were we know the motherfucker did it. It's this guy right here. Here's the proof. Also, we drone striked his house while he was in it. That would be a lot more. You'd still be, prompting war, but at least that would be a pretty direct, be pretty one-to-one. I mean, at least that would look like it was being done in response to what happened.
Ask your indulgence today.
They explained those were facilities that the terrorists came from. No, that's what they said. They just said that. What? So of those 9 facilities, the terrorists came from there? What is that? Are they barracks in StarCraft? They just produce Marines? What is that? Who? We'll find out soon if these buildings are known to be used by LET. Yeah, but that's not relevant. Like it's you can't say this is done to prevent future attacks in response to the current attacks and also da da da, but then you're just striking like random terrorist affiliated buildings. Like it's just all open season. If that's the case, then why pretend that this is like a targeted response? They did mention the exact group present in each building and the functions of each facility. No, not really. These camps are affiliated with this group and they are training camps. That's kind of the extent of the information that was provided. That's not like, yeah, leaving aside the evidentiary burden, it's also like very clearly not being done in response to. Also, like, again, they specifically said that they intercepted intelligence indicating that there would be another attack. What intelligence? And also, shouldn't they be doing their strikes like with that in mind? Did the intelligence say, yeah, the attack is going to come from one of these 9 facilities? Like, it just doesn't follow. You're either saying, yeah, we're sick of Pakistan shit and we're just going to strike anything that we think is terrorist affiliated, which is what they're doing, or this is being done to protect us from future attacks and in response to the recent attack. And that would require a more specific, a more specific demonstration of evidence and of firepower. India's cutting off water to Pakistan that literally can't be justified, even if all of India's claims are true? Yes, that is true. Yeah, 100%, of course, yeah. Modi's threat to cut off water is outright genocidal. It could, like, if he had the ability to enact it, which, a threat is a threat, that could lead to the deaths of tens of millions of people. It would be enormous. Rhetoric like that really takes away from India's credibility when they say that this is about reprisal. They can't just share info. They should. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. This ain't take your loser ass back to statismville. What? Nations can just start wars and invade and bomb and nuclear war, blah 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 blah. Oh, they don't have to show proof because it would be like national security or something to show proof. What? No. Have they declared war yet? Oh, no one ever declares war anymore. It's all jingoism? Yeah, I'm sure. Sorry, I was just thinking. The only recent updates are, at least from Al Jazeera, are them talking about the bits that we just saw from the press conference. In Afghanistan, we'd get briefings on who the guys we were striking were and what group they were from. Yeah, there's definitely been a real devolution. Like, for example, when the United States invaded Iraq, which was bad, by the way, there was a pretty specific understanding of who was a legitimate target and who wasn't, right? Like, obviously, we still killed a lot of civilians, but from an operational perspective, they were recognized as civilians, and they were looking for members of the Iraqi army or government or whatever. It was like an understood distinction. But nowadays, like, yeah, everyone just fights via terrorism. They struck so much civilian infrastructure. No. I'm not saying we didn't strike civilian infrastructure. I'm saying that there was a nominal understanding of the meaning of what it meant to be a designated target. Or maybe not. I don't know. They picked up random people. Come on. Okay, either you're being uncharitable or I'm doing a poor job of describing what I mean here. What I mean is that as a consequence of Iraq being a government, therefore the people in charge of the government have official positions, names, titles, and so on. The military's rhetoric with regard to the desired targets to be captured or killed or whatever, right, was kind of specifically relegated along the lines of like official operational authority on the Iraqi side. That doesn't mean that ordinary people weren't picked up or killed. They were. The Iraq war was bad, right? We know that. I know that. Thank you. It was more like there's been this devolution in the war on terror. And by the way, the war on it's been one war on terror the whole world around for the past 25 years. Weren't we a lot worse in Afghanistan? Well, that's part of my point, right? Because it did devolve to a large extent in Afghanistan because obviously the Taliban, their form of insurgency was a lot more, was more decentralized, even though they did operate as a kind of de facto regional government. And now they are the government of Afghanistan. It's just been one goddamn war on terror, man. No, that's objectively false. The Iraq war is one more destructive to the civilian population. I'm not talking about casualty numbers. I'm talking about the specificity with which we described our targets. Never mind. Maybe I'm doing a poor job of describing what I mean, or maybe I just haven't maybe I haven't thought it out properly. It's fine. No, I could be describing it better. Do you mean that governments are bad at fighting guerrilla warfare opponents because of the technical overlap between civilians? I feel like the last time we struck someone that had the kind of distinction that used to be common to military targets was when Trump struck Soleimani. That's the only time I can remember in relatively recent history, where you have a victim of a US strike who is unambiguously a member of effectively an enemy government. Not to justify the strike, it was heinous, but at least there was like a clear distinction. It seems like the rhetoric on like what an acceptable target is has just been like permanently damaged. Part of it might be the fact that like no, like real warfare is too costly now, like real total committed warfare, so people don't want to do it. And as a consequence, like we understand that the actual targets of military antagonism, the actual worthwhile targets, usually are economic ones, logistical ones, not like, oh, you beat their army and then you win. Because no one fights army to army anymore. Not really. You mean more the fact? I don't know what the I mean. Do you think the human race will outlive religious warfare? This isn't really religious warfare. It's like ethnograph. It's ethnic tension. It's not even like a religious thing. The conflict over Kashmir and the regional conflicts, the Indian subcontinent, they predate Islam, right? I mean, they go back like way further than that. So I don't really think it's religious. Desert Storm was army v army. Yeah, it was. Desert Storm was pretty unambiguously like army versus army, and we crush them. Maybe that was the lesson for the world. Maybe we never should have done Desert Storm, because after that, every country realized that army v army warfare sucks, you know? Unless you're the United States. The United States' allies, I guess. I don't know. 2 days to get into Baghdad was actually crazy. Yeah. Is Israel-Palestine cultural too? Well, everything's cultural, right? Depending on how far you cast the net. But Israel-Palestine is a unambiguous like settler colonial project. It's certainly not religious. Soldier checks a wooden box. That's true. The Kashmir conflict, a result of modern nationalism, it's at most 100 years old. No, the roots go back, like, before that. Most ethnic conflicts in, like, the old world go back, like, a really, really, really long time, you know? Because even before the nationalists, but it's not like India was, like, a unified nation before the partition, you know?